This is the pre-lab video for the density lab. For this lab, you'll need a metal or plastic cube, a ruler, a plastic 250 milliliter graduated cylinder. Here's an example of the lab data sheet. And here's an example filled out for the density lab. Notice table 1 is present, as well as the physical description of the cube and the unknown number. To record the mass of the cube, turn on the analytical balance in the analytical balance room and then tare the scale, ensuring that only zeros appear in the display. Then place the cube on top of the scale and record all the digits that you see on your lab data table. Next, measure the dimensions of the cube. So we'll measure the length, the width, and the height in centimeters to the correct number of significant digits, and then record these numbers on your lab data table. Calculate the volume of the cube as length times width times height to the correct number of significant figures, and write that number in your lab data table. Then calculate the density of the cube as the mass of the cube over the volume of the cube. Plug in your numbers and solve to the correct number of significant figures, and then enter that number on your lab data table. For the second part of the experiment, you'll need to make sure you have table 2. Transfer the mass of the cube, and now we're going to determine the volume of the cube by water measurement. So add about 190 milliliters of distilled water to the graduated cylinder. Read and record this number on your lab data table. To measure the volume of the cube, carefully tilt the graduated cylinder. Take the metal cube, place it very gently near the edge. Tap it very slowly and gently into the water. Bring the graduated cylinder standing up tall again. And now you can record the final volume of the cube, or the final volume of the water, to the correct number of significant digits. So now you place this number on your lab data table. You calculate the volume of the cube by difference between those two water volume measurements. Plug in your numbers to the correct number of significant digits, and place that number in your lab data table. And then you can calculate the density of the cube as the mass of the cube over the volume of the cube, plugging in your numbers and calculating to the correct number of significant digits. You can place that number inside your lab data table. And that's the end of the density pre-lab video.